Hello, good morning, everyone. Our topic today is reviewing literature. We are continuing the discussion about research methodology in education. It is about reviewing literature. Reviewing literature is a written summary of journal articles, books, and other documents that describes the past and current state of information on the topic of your research study. It might also contain other information drawn from conference papers, books, and government documents. In composing a literature review, you may cite articles that are both quantitative and qualitative study. So a literature review is a part in which a research is discussed in the in the perceptions of the theory that undergoes how the research running on the process. This is a body part in an article. There are divided into several sections or subtopics that relate in the research. You can find a literature review in an article in the part after the introduction, or in a paper you will have a literature review, or the other name of this one is a theoretical review in the chapter 2. So this presents the relevant theory that underline your research. So this is important for a researcher to discuss the finding as well as to explain the findings. The theory that should be provided in a literature review should support or has a role as a basic foundations of your research. So you should find as much as possible the information that might important in discussing your finding. So you cannot go far from what you discuss on your research. You cannot put the topic that outside your research topic. For example, if you discuss about teaching reading comprehension, so in the literature review, you should provide the theory about reading comprehension. You might start from the reading skill and then you go to reading comprehension, and then kinds of reading comprehension activities can be implemented in the classroom. So those topics should be presented in the chapter 2. And then why it is necessary? As I have said earlier, so in the literature review, you put many kinds of information. Why? This is to document how your study adds to the existing literature. And then it also to convince the readers that you know the literature in your topics that you summarize in the literature review. Yes, as explained before, that when you talk about reading skill, then you should provide the theory of reading skill itself. It means that you make sure the reader that the researcher know very well what they have done in the research. And then it also to provide evidence that educators need your study to build your research skills of using the library and being an investigator who follow leads in the literature. And then it's also to help you learn how other researchers or educators compose their research. It is taken from the information that you collect in the literature review, so you can see that the other researchers also doing their research relevantly with what you are conducting right now, or what you are conducting in the research. And then it also to help you find useful examples and models in the literature for your own research. The example provided in the previous research or in the theories that you find, it will help you to make your or to add your interpretation about the finding that you have collected in your research, and it also to develop skills in locating the needed material in timely manner. So it will not waste your time in conducting the research when you have collected all information that relevant to your theory. When you discuss your finding, you can recall back what you have written in the literature review. So it will support your interpretation and how you elaborate the finding, and then how you relate those findings with previous study and a relevant theory. In the literature review of quantitative and qualitative research, there are some difference. In Table 3.1, the differences in extent and use of literature in quantitative and qualitative research can be seen in this table. There are three differences. For the first is amount of literature cited at the beginning of the study. In quantitative research, it is substantial, while in qualitative research, it's minimal. So in the beginning study, this is substantial for quantitative research to use the review of the literature. And then the second one, use of literature at the beginning of the study. In quantitative research, it is used to justify or to document the need for the study. So in quantitative research, the literature is useful to justify the need for the study, why the quantitative research is needed to conduct. And in qualitative research, it's also to justify and document the need for the study. The literature review is important for both quantitative and qualitative because we have to show the urgency of the research that we are going to conduct. It should be supported with the literature that we discussed in the beginning of the study. It also provides a rationale for direction for the study. For example, the purpose of statement and then research question and hypothesis in quantitative research. While for qualitative research, it doesn't need a rationale for the directions of the study because there is no hypothesis in qualitative research. And the differences about the literature at the end of the study. For quantitative research, it used to confirm or disconfirm the prior prediction from the literature. In quantitative research, after this, the steps of calculating or doing the statistical analysis, the theoretical review or the literature review is used to confirm or to disconfirm. For example, in the site of your research, one method is not effective, while in the other part of a world, the method that is similarly used in their research is not effective. So this can be, maybe this can be stated that there are different situations within what happened in the other parts of the world and then the research that is conducted by you. The other said it is effective, and the other said or you said this is not effective. So this can be said that the method or the result of your finding disconfirm the prior predictions, or the hypothesis that you propose is differently found from the other research. While for the qualitative research, the literature at the end of the study is used to support or modify existing findings in the literature. For example, when someone perceives one condition as useful, then your study will modify the existing or the prior or the previous result. For example, when I have said that earlier about the student perceive that this is helpful, then you can say that the strategist is helpful in supporting the students to develop ability in reading. So the study that you conducted modifies the previous finding. The first finding is only helpful, and your finding modifies it, become that it is helpful in developing reading skill. So that's the difference between the literature at the end of the study in quantitative and qualitative research. Literature review in quantitative research. In quantitative study, researchers discuss the literature extensively at the beginning of the study. This is based on Deslan and Bertrand 2005. There are two measures in quantitative research for the literature review, where it justifies the importance of research problem, and then it provides a rationale for and foreshadows the purpose of the study and research question or hypothesis. So the literature review in quantitative research should justify the importance of the research problem. You should provide the justification about why you conduct or why this problem is important to be investigated. And you should provide also the rationale for the purpose of the study and stating the research question and the hypothesis. So it is a separated section with the name of review of the literature. It incorporated the literature into the end of the study, comparing the result with the prior predictions or expectation made at the beginning of the study. While the literature review in qualitative research, it elaborated at the beginning of the study to document or justify the importance of research problem. And it do not typically discuss the literature extensively at the beginning of the study. And it role to support the findings. It cited at the end of the study as contrast or comparison with the major finding in the study. And the findings in the qualitative are justified, whether to support or to modify the existing ideas and practices advanced in the literature. So in qualitative research, the literature review do not typically discuss extensively in the beginning. Yeah, because it roles to support the finding, and it is cited at the end of the study to contrast. So we can find a very rich explanation in the discussion, because the review of literature can be found here by citing some of the reference or some of the sources in the discussion to see how it contrasts with the previous one, and then you can also to compare. You can also compare your finding with the previous one, whether it supports or it modifies. It justifies, as we have discussed earlier, that the literature review in qualitative research has role to support or modify. You should provide the proof from the finding and then elaborate it with your interpretation. There are 5 steps in conducting a literature review. The first one, you should identify the key terms to use in your research for literature, and then locate the literature about a topic by consulting several types of materials and databases, including those available at an academic library or the internet, and then critically evaluate and select the literature for your review, and then organize the literature you have selected by abstracting or taking notes on the literature and developing a visual diagram of it. And then write a literature review that reports summaries of the literature for inclusion in your research report. So in making the literature review, you are not simply collecting any kinds of topic that seems relevant to your research topic, but you should find a very careful key terms that can be used to elaborate your literature. You can find the material and databases, whether it is from the library, the academic library, or on the internet. You can find many kinds of information or sources in the library and the internet. But I have to say that you should be careful in finding any kinds of information when you want to build your own literature review by selecting it carefully from the sources or from the trustable resources. There are some website that you can use to find important sources, like from eric.com, and then Sage Publication, and then Thomson, and so on. I believe you have got the information earlier in the previous subject of your courses. After you collect the information, you should evaluate, not simply copying and pasting about the information that you got from that articles or journal, but you should read carefully whether this is can be used in your literature review or not, because sometimes the literature or the information that is provided in some article, maybe it seems relevant, but after you read, it is so much different. So you should read carefully, like from maybe the first step is from the abstract first. You read the purpose of the study, and then you should find the research method, and then you can check easily the finding, and then whether the implication, and then you can go to the introduction in the article, and then you can learn how the research problem discussed, and then how those researcher compare their study with the previous one, and then you can see directly what is actually the purpose itself, and then you can learn how the researcher set their literature review in their article, and then how they discuss the finding, and then how they conclude their research. So it is not simply only by seeing the abstract without reading the whole article. Yeah, I do not suggest you that you can only read from the abstract, but you should carefully read all the whole article that you find, so you can evaluate that this is useful and this is relevant and this is not. After you review that, after you read that, you can take notes. Those information from the article, you can help yourself by making a diagram, whether from the A article result this one, and then the B article result this one, and then the C article result this one. So you can compare which one to discuss first, and then which one to set first, and then which one to set later. And then you can write the frame first, that the topic that you find in what research become the first one, and then from which research become the next one, so that it is, or it will efficient your time when you arranging your research. In identifying the key term, you should narrow your topic to few key terms using one or two words in a short phrases. Yeah, when you, as what explained earlier, that if you want to discuss about reading comprehension, yeah, you can start your writing your literature review by making some points, yeah, consisting word or short phrases like reading, start from reading, and then reading skill, and then reading comprehension, and then reading comprehension activities. Those will be your key terms, and then you can navigate the information from the databases from taken from the website from Eric, yeah, www.eric.ed.gov. You can search that one because there are so many information written there. You can take any useful information there. And then you can navigate from the library. You can go to the library, whether it is from your department library, or and then faculty library, or you can go to university library, or maybe you can get that from the other library. Then the sources taken from the books, that will be the basic foundation for your review. And then the second one, you have to look at the literature using the libraries, and then using both the literature reported by a researcher who originated the ideas, and the second source, like literature that summarize primary sources. So you can use the literature that used in the previous research. For example, if you found one research if you find one article and then there are the discussion or there are part of literature review, you can consider to take the information from that point, yeah. But it is not allowed for you to copy paste. You should read carefully and combine, and then modify and paraphrase what you get from one article, and then the second article, the third article. You can reformulate your ideas into your own literature review. Figure 3.1 here, the classifications of the source of literature review materials from summaries to early stage material. So in this case, the height standard to ensure the quality, and in the bottom side, the bottom part is the height standard, so to ensure quality, and then the top side, low standard to ensure the quality. Okay, wait a minute. Yeah, okay. Now, so this is the triangle here, where the bottom informations are the summaries taken from the encyclopedia, research review, handbooks, and abstract. And then it is go narrower from book, research studies, and essay, and then go on the top of that, journal articles, refereed, non-refereed, international, national, regional, or state. And then this one, index publication, means that this is the publication that produced in a conference, or this is in the form of dissertation, the thesis, professional association papers, college and university publication. And then the early stage material, like paper posted on the website, professional association, newsletter, draft papers of conference presentation. In that part, this is in the level of idea appear first, and then this one in the bottom side, the ideas appear 10 plus years after the initiation. So this becomes the very rich discussion, because it includes it as the encyclopedia, yeah. This is the early start, and then go to index publication, and then go to journal articles, and then the books, and then the summary, means that this goes 10 years after the idea idea appears. For example, you discuss about a specific method right now, yeah, the specific method in teaching writing right now. Then 10 years later, that becomes summaries. It means that the collections of the similar discussion with your own topic, yeah. So your topic is not only discussed by you, but also the other researchers also discuss the similar topic with your own. But sometimes it has different interpretation. So after 10 years, that become collections of the interpretation from many researchers that will discuss in the research review. how this one similar with others, how this one contrastive from the other. So that will collect it in the next 10 years. And then how to organize the literature. You should reproduce, download, and fill. Yeah, and you also should take notes and then abstract the study and constructing literature. How to write the literature review. So you can use by end of text references and then within text references. So in writing the literature review, of course, you should put the information where you take the sources. For example, if you take the information from my article, then you should write, you should state, and you should cite my information in your own literature review by stating my last name. So you don't need to write Natalia Anggrarini misalkan, for example 2021, yeah, 2021. So it should not written that way, but it enough with Anggrarini and then in the bracket 2021, like that. So you should check the IPA rules. Yeah, the IPA rules is the the rules that guide how the researchers cite the information in their literature. And then the next is level of headings. This is taken from the 7 editions of APA, where when you write the literature review, so you should follow these kinds of rules. Yeah, for example, reading in what is that, in English for second language, in reading in English for second language. The first one is, for example, reading skill. This one in the second in the level 2, reading skill. In reading skill, we still discuss about, for example, the definitions of reading. Nah, you should write in the level 3 with italic and bold the definitions of reading skill. And then if there is some point in the definition, you should indent that, yeah, indent that and then bold with no italic. And if in this point you still have other topic, then you should write this one in the level 5, indent and then bold, italic. So this is the heading format in writing the literature review. You should write it carefully like this one. But it is back again to the rules of the surrounding agreement. For example, in Wiralodra English Journal, we have specific heading format, for example, without ignoring the rules that has been provided in the IPA 7 edition. So we should check carefully what rules or what guidance when you want to write the paper or the article. Material for today in writing the literatures. So thank you for paying attention to this example. For question, you can write in the comments of this video. Thank you. See you.